This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, on the Township website, and posted on the bulletin boards of Township Hall.
All right, if we could please rise for a flag salute as well as a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad?
Here.
Councilmember Perry?
Here.
Councilmember Roy?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Here.
Mayor Simonson?
Here. Our first order of business this evening is our work session, and that is a presentation of or an update of our Skellinger's Landing project. I know Joe Maffei is here from EDA, and I guess at this point, Joe, would you take it away?
Sure, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. As indicated, my name is Joe Maffei. I'm with Engineering Design Associates. The township has asked us to come up with a plan to basically provide for a pedestrian-safe area, basically from the foot of the bridge all the way to the little bridge. What we've come up with is a plan to add brick sidewalks. These are going to be 5 foot wide with the concrete band on either side. We also have various crosswalks. We'll have a crosswalk right as you come to the base of the bridge. And if you know, Bill had mentioned to us today that DOT has just now started taking up some of the old asphalt sidewalk that's along there. So as that comes down, we're not sure what they're putting back to it, but bottom line is when they come down, it'll match up right with what we're going to have a crosswalk on the base of the inside street. We're also going to be adding striping. If you can see, you guys have the 11 by 17s in front of you. As people are coming off the bridge, one of the things we're trying to promote is to get people to slow down. People do walk through here, and right now we don't really have a whole lot of sidewalks. So the main objective of this project is not only to identify Skellinger's Landing with signage, which we'll get into that a little bit later, but also to slow people down because we do have a lot of shops, we have restaurants, and it's really not the safest place for people to walk through. So that's really the main goal for the project. We actually have in total 4 crosswalks for the project. The one at the very base of the big bridge, then we're going to have another one right at Skellinger's Landing. We're going to have another one halfway between about where the antique store is and the first parking lot of the marina, and then of course another one at the base of the small bridge before you go into Cape May. Those crosswalks will be 10 foot wide, all handicap accessible, of course. That's also another main goal of this project. And as we come back, we kind of loop the whole system. If you come in over the bridge, takes you all the way down to the small bridge, loops around back in front of South Jersey Marina, comes out and circles around and ends basically at the entrance to Utch's Marina. So this way it encompasses the entire Skellinger Landing area that we talk about, and at the same time, hopefully slowing traffic down. If you look at some of the plans closer, we've got some bump outs starting about 2nd Avenue. There's a large area where the crosswalk is in the middle, and also that's where we're planning on putting our identification sign. It'll be right in the middle of the area. We actually have plenty of physical room to install, obviously, what's going to be large footings and foundations for the sign. Originally, we were talking about putting it at the base of the small bridge. Topography and location, wires, it really probably wasn't the best idea. So we kind of kicked around the idea to move it up, which probably ends up working out well because it's right in the middle of what we call Skellinger's Landing. And of course, that's also where we're starting to slow our traffic down. So it'll be a small area there, and then it'll be bump outs at each one of the other intersections. Again, just to kind of narrow the lanes down so that people know physically that this is time to slow down because we are going to have pedestrians along both sides of the street. We've been going back and forth as far as what we're going to go with material-wise. It is going to be a simulated brick. It's going to be a concrete paver, but it is going to be the same shape and size as a standard brick, but it is going to be more like a brick red, so that does simulate natural brick. Obviously, there's various colors, but I think given the theme of the area, this seemed to be the one that everybody was most comfortable with. Of course, we're not sure on that yet. If somebody has better ideas, we're always open to suggestions, because the idea is we want you guys to have impact and some input back to us to make sure what we're doing. Obviously, it's done for the business. So any impact or any input we can have back from any of the business owners, obviously we've been talking to quite a few people, we're more than open to suggestions. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, obviously, a big part of the project is going to be the construction. We've got, I think it's 6 or 8 new telephone poles that have to be removed by Verizon and Atlantic Electric. Atlantic Electric has informed us that that will be part of the project. It will not be a cost to the township because it is a pedestrian safety project, the same way they did our other sidewalk project in North Cape May. So that's been a plus. I've been working along with Atlantic Electric to make sure that does happen. Now we're to the point that the plans are in a position we can get them submitted to DOT. Obviously, it's a state's road. We need to get their blessing that we'll go through for this. But once we go through that, we'll be ready to go out to bid, hopefully have this thing under construction in the fall.
Awesome.
So one thing I did make 11 by 17, if anyone wanted that.
So any questions from council or from?
You guys have any questions?
I want to hear what the businesses have to say about it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the business. I just wanted to say first that kind of how this came about, and that was, I guess, a couple of years ago. I looked into a grant that was basically a beautification project, and when I talked to the manager and when we discussed it, we wanted to do something, the Skellinger's Landing area, make it into like a marine district area, like some other places along the East Coast. So we kind of embarked on this and have been meeting off and on over the last, I guess, 2 years with business owners and getting their input. And it's just kind of morphed into this project. I'm sure the state will give us their blessing since they've done absolutely nothing for pedestrian safety there. So I'm sure they won't mind us doing it. But something had to be done. And since we were going to try to make it safer, we thought we'd make it look a lot nicer because it really is. I mean, this area has been a cornerstone of our county for the last 100 years, so or probably longer than that. But we just thought it was time, and that's what we're put in office to do is to better our community. So we would like to hear from business owners or anyone else that just please step up to the mic. Just let us know your name and address for the record. That's all. Anyone?
Great project, gentlemen. David Craig from Lucky Bones. I'm just curious on who is to maintain the snow removal from the sidewalks and the maintenance of the sidewalks down the road.
Good question. That would be our. I'm going so.
Dave, I'm going to speak and say that we will have to maintain that, just like any other area that's in the township. So for the most part, I would say us as far as that. But I'm anxious to see the state's involvement with this also. We're sort of hoping this will perpetuate, if I'm correct, I think we were looking at their report over 2 years ago of making these changes at the bottom of the bridge. And, you know, we're still, but saying that, we're moving on. And because we have to move on. We feel so strong about this area that I've had discussions with the mayor and council that this will probably be the first phase, because there's other things identified there on Wilson and going all the way around where we have issues. So, as the mayor said, this shouldn't be and won't be a forgotten area of Lower Township. It's low there. Mr. Galestock has looked at all the streets. We've talked about this, but I think this will really set that area off and not change the atmosphere of really what it is. It's still sort of a, you know, it's fishing, and the tourists get to see that before they get to Cape May. And, you know, there's a lot of growth there, along with some beautiful homes now along that whole slope too. So to answer that question, and we're still estimating the cost of this. We think we have it zeroed in, and I would say, I'll call Joe on the carpet here. I mean, we have to go out to bid, but you want to throw a number out here today?
For this project
Yeah.
here, I think we had an estimate of around 6, I think it was. I think that's what it was.
Where it would have been $1 million if the Atlantic Electric Company hadn't stepped in.
Yeah,
The
Atlantic
big
Electric-
plus for us here is that with them being able to include this safety issue in that grant, the first fee for moving those poles was over $400,000. And that was a little riveting to take. And we went through some of this with moving poles on the bike paths, et cetera, so I know it's expensive. So that's certainly a big partnering for us to get that help here. And we also don't know the cost yet of the sign. We've talked, it could be 70,000, could be 110,000, but we want the sign really to stand out.
I think the first part of your question, snow removal, I think it might be the business owners, Dave, because just like any other public sidewalk, but the actual maintenance should be the township. This is a township project. If there's something wrong with it, we're going to have to repair it.
Anybody else?
Keith Lauderman, Lobster House. I didn't see anything on lighting here, you guys. Was there any talk of any kind of lighting?
No, at this point, the street lights that are existing out there on the poles is what's going to maintain. We actually did talk about whether or not we were going to go with decorative lights. At this phase, we were going to stick with the lights that were there, so that is not part of it at this time.
Okay.
But again, I think we're open to suggestions, and anything we can do to improve it would certainly be taken a look at.
And I know the sign, we've
Didn't you-
talked about
Yeah,
the,
didn't you say that that sign, depending on the type of sign, could put off a heck of a lot of light at night also?
That would also be a lit sign, correct?
was that the sign that goes across the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's not on here, or that's
Well,
not-
the location is on here, but it's actually
Is that the one, it's in front of the, like the antique?
It's just south of 2nd Avenue.
Yeah, exactly what,
That'd be the sign there.
But as far as the design of it, the size of it, that is
It's kind of right in the
everybody
middle.
liked that presentation there when you go in to see on that.
It's awesome.
I keep my numbers on there. If you ever have any questions or anything
Okay.
else, you can always
Yeah.
feel free to call me.
So kind of the first phase of this is the bricks and the sign. That's what we're
Right.
talking about.
And the sign will be a separate contract because that's going to be a specialty item. The bricks will be the first part of it, the sidewalk.
And we'll, I'm sure we'll be able to see it before it's done, have some input on it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We're far from having a final design on the sign.
Yeah,
At
okay.
this point, it's really just location so that we can go through the DOT process.
And then everything else is on the state as far as trying to slow that traffic down a little bit?
Well, we also, as part of our application, we're going to request the speed limit be reduced to 25. And of course,
It's
some of
like
the
a
traffic.
death trap, right? I don't think anybody crosses there more than I do. Like,
You're probably-
I cross there a lot now.
Yep.
Why don't you go through what we decided we did before?
Actually almost got killed last night. I mean, but, you got to cross and you got to stand in the middle because you'll be there all night. So you're standing in the
You're probably
middle,
crossing
and
right
the
here,
guy's giving me
Galvin.
shit because I'm standing, it's like crazy over there.
Yeah, well, we did widen this crosswalk to 10 feet just to give it more of a visual.
Right.
Right now, I don't think there is anything out there now.
Yeah, I think it's
They
painted.
repaved it, they didn't repaint it. Go over what we were,
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. One is actually if they come off the bridge, because what happens, people are coming off that at 45, 50,
Yeah.
60 miles an
Yeah.
hour. So we do have the markings, which would be pedestrian crossing. We're also going to have the rumble strips that help slow them down at 3 points before they actually get to where people are going to be crossing. And of course, the physical part of it is actually having the physical brick sidewalks, which gives people the physical identification that there are crosswalks here.
That'll
and-
be a big help. And I didn't know you were putting rumble strips in, but
Yeah, the
that'll
roller strips
still-
right at the end. And of course, the idea too is to narrow it down. Unfortunately, where you're crossing is right where they're
Yeah.
starting to slow down.
Yeah,
And obviously, as we get further in, the idea is to slow it down even further.
Right.
And we are going to petition the state to put this as 25 miles per hour. Once we get the speed limit, we can also provide enforcement so that people know you're going to get a ticket. People tend to slow down. You
Yeah,
can't go through Summers Point without getting on the parkway, knowing that if you go too fast through there, you're going to get a ticket.
oh, yeah.
So if
Yeah.
that gets out, people will
Yeah,
understand.
when you go on Summers Point, you go 25.
You go 25,
Absolutely.
not a mile over.
Yeah.
So if that's enforced here, and we have the backing of the state, that's certainly going to help to reduce that traffic as well.
I got you.
Yeah, one of the complications with this here, we didn't want to, this is the merge, as you know, and the two, and it pretty much stops at, I guess, where am I at, Third Avenue. So we didn't want to create bump outs or something that would cause the merge to just move up the bridge.
Right.
Make it more complicated, so we went with, sorry about that. And so we went with this design.
Yeah.
To try to, it's a hard area.
There's rumble strips across both the merge and the main link, so everybody knows that you're coming up with pedestrians.
Are all the property owners on board, or you having any, is there any issues there?
We haven't heard, obviously, that's what we had you guys here for tonight, to get input. I don't think we've heard anything negative that I'm aware of at this point.
Good.
And we're not taking any property.
Right.
So that's also a good part of it. The only thing we may do, there may be some relocation of some railroad ties, some fences, maybe, I think one of the signs might be partially away. I think it's their sign. We may have to slide that back a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's everything stay within the right of way.
Yeah,
Even the pole relocations will be beyond that, but still be within the right of way.
I got you. Thank you.
And if anybody has questions later, again, my name and number is on that plan you have. Feel free to give me a call.
Anybody else? Is that? Sir, Mr. Hutch?
Evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Ernie Hutch, UTSCH, Hutch's Marina, down at the foot of the bridge. This is probably the first improvement that I've seen come to Skellinger's Landing in a long, long time. I think of us as being the forgotten people down there, and we end up taking the brunt of everything down there, and haven't been happy about that. But some of the concerns that I have here is when you endeavor to do something like this is we have problems with ingress and egress with coming in and out of the marina, and everything that seems to happen seems to choke me off more and more and more. At the foot of the bridge, when you have to make that right-hand turn, now we have to contend with the ramp, and we've created extra parking places there so that people can't pass by, and I have to listen to that all the time. There's no bathroom facilities at the ramp as provided by the state. It's hard for my folks to get in and out, so whenever you do something, I always worry about that. The area has been a success, and I attribute that success to the many business owners that are down there and the hard work that they've all put in there. And it just goes from all those lanes on the Parkway and Route 109, we get down to 2 lanes, and then when we get to the foot of the bridge, we're all the way down to 1 lane. And it just makes it exceedingly difficult. But again, I'd state that the ingress and the egress for coming in and out of the marina are of major concern for me. And the only way that I can get in and out is to turn at the foot of the bridge. And it goes down to Wissahickon Avenue, and it swings around underneath and comes around the other side. I have no left-hand turn. They have to turn right. And I'd like to see that opened up so those parking places right there where the Lucky Bones is at the foot of the bridge, that they're eliminated. And I'd like to see that very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, if I could, with regards to Mr. Hutch's comments, we are also aware of the problem of the boat ramp has created a horrible condition on that back street. There's 150 feet that has to be addressed by the township. Has nothing to do with this project, but I will tell you, we have it on our charts to fix that this fall on the back street. So I've had conversations with people. Gary Douglas has been down there, and again, it has nothing to do with this, but since you were, we see it. And I know the activity that's there too, and that road should be the same, because those people shouldn't come off the bridge and then be like doing this for, so I just wanted you to know that we are aware of that one. That's it.
You were aware of it. I just wanted to state it for the record.
Got it. All right. Anyone else? All right, I don't see any other hands up. At this time, we are going to close our fun, we're going to move down to our fun part, and that is our consent agenda. Also, due to the short consent agenda, if anyone has questions for Joe after the meeting, just stick around. We should, I don't see this being here too long, but if you have to leave now, you may. And with that, we move down to the consent agenda. Is there any questions or comments from council on anything on the consent agenda?
No comments.
None.
Everybody good? All right, we open it to the public for the consent agenda only. Any questions or comments on any of the resolutions stated on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we close the public portion.
Approval of the minutes from the June 17th, 2019 meeting and resolutions number 2019-225 through 2019-231.
I get a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Simonson?
Yes. There is no regular agenda, so we move down to manager's report.
Yeah. Some information on the infrastructure as of today. Miramar, Foster, Clubhouse, Wilson, and Idell should all be coated with asphalt by July 4th. Just a couple days. And Roseanne should see at least one block of asphalt. We're hoping more this week. But there were a couple changes that took place today, and they were still grading that out. They're going to be grading it out tomorrow, and we'll see how close we can get to getting the first phase of Roseanne done. Our rec department and public works have been working diligently to have another successful Independence Day celebration Wednesday along our refurbished beautiful bayfront. And again, we have a plethora of vendors, 4 bands. I received the action plan, which is very extensive, from our OEM coordinator, Donahue, and everything's in place, including notification from the state police this morning, the certificate. So we're on board, looking forward to a great night of fun and fireworks. Received approval Saturday from John Cantalupo on August the 4th. We'll be selling $7,450,000 worth of bonds. According to John, the timing is great for us to do this because of the interest rates, and it keeps our cash flow in a good position while we move on in our current projects. Our concert series kicks off on the 10th with the sensational Soul Cruisers, and the first few weeks should be great if weather cooperates. And there's another plus to help us in the first 2 weeks. The County Realtors Association is having their summer extravaganza at the ferry during one of our concerts. So it'll bring a lot of, it's a heck of a lot of realtors in Cape May County, and they're having their summer meeting. I think that was great because we were looking to get a couple other things to fill that room and let the folks flow onto the grounds from other areas to see what we have there. And that's it in my manager's report.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Councilman Conrad.
Real quick, just got back from a wonderful week of summer camp with the Scouts, so don't have a lot for certain things. Hoping to hear some good news shortly about Mulligan Field. And of course, the beach access is still up in the air, I believe. Jim, beach access still waiting?
Yes, and I do have news for you forthcoming on Cloverdale.
Okay.
But that's,
Other than that, everybody please enjoy the 3rd and the 4th.
Kind of upset, disappointed over not having the Roseanne Avenue project completed on time. As the manager just stated, that they're going to try to get some asphalt in on Wednesday. prior to the 4th and then finish sometime afterwards. There was another delay by the contractor, and here we sit again, not on time. Hopefully, shortly after the 4th, it'll be completed, and we can move on. But just a little disappointed in that. Hopefully, we'll see everybody on the 4th of July. I know some fireworks products in New Jersey are now legal, the smaller ones. Please be careful. Please be smart. And please leave it to the professionals if you can. Other than that, we'll see you hopefully July 3rd down on the Bayfront. Enjoy the 4th. Be safe.
All good advice from Councilman Perry and from Councilman Conrad. I would just like to say regarding the infrastructure that the manager spoke of in the 3rd Ward with Idell, Wilson, and the area surrounding the Irma section. I'm very happy to report that the job is moving along quite efficiently and effectively. They're doing a fantastic job. The engineer was through there. He found a lot of deficiencies. They've all been corrected, and when this project is complete, it'll be to everyone's satisfaction, I'm sure. Again, I'll repeat what the prior councilmen have indicated. I wish everyone to have a very happy and enjoyable 4th of July and be safe among all else. Thank you.
All right, Sergeant Major.
The police youth camp, the deadline was today for signing the kids up for that. We have a packed camp, and we actually have some excess kids right now looking to get in. But again, it's going to be the July 29th, August 2nd. Look forward to it. It's the 3rd year the police department running this camp. It's a good thing for the township, and hopefully we get some good coverage. And this year they've added a Phillies game at the very end for the kids to go to Philadelphia for the Phillies game. So that's all I have.
All right. Just to reiterate what everyone else has said, just have a safe and healthy 4th of July. Make sure you check out the Bayfront on the 3rd. Also on the 4th, Thursday evening, right? Fireworks in Diamond Beach, as well as Cape May City. Also coming up, our National Night Out, put on by our police department, and this year the new school resource officer, Officer Coombs, will be held on Tuesday, August 6th. We'll have more information on that forthcoming, and other than that, just everybody be safe and have a great 4th of July. With that, we open it up to the public. If you have any comments, any concerns, please step up to the mic. We just ask for your name and address for the record. I don't see any, so therefore we close the public portion. And
Resolution number 2019-232, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12. This is to discuss a contract negotiations update and some attorney-client privilege matters.
all right, I'll make a motion to go into closed session. I need a second.
I'll second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sippel?
Yes.
Mayor Simonson?
Yes.
Yep.